if you want to hear story about a brave engineer. Casey Jones was a rounder's name on a 6/8 wheel of Boise.
Hey there, my name is David Mays, your host and the train master for this edition of a show we call Along the Model Railroad Line, a program where we talk about the fun you can have playing with trains. And I play with trains. We're going to be talking about this program, going to be talking about this little engine right here. And so you can pick it up, give you a little close up here. There we go. I can get up a little closer to the camera. There you go. All righty. Okay, put it back on the track. Set it there. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I got a little re-railer built into the track right here, disguised as a grade crossing. If you look, should be a link, I don't know, over here somewhere or later in the video, or a link to a video where I talk about how I did that. So anyway, check that out later. In the meantime, a little story about this engine. Again, it's an HO scale model of an Illinois Central 460 10-wheeler from around 1900, late 19th century, early 20th century. And the model itself is based on an engine that was driven by a man we know as Casey Jones. I think Casey was his nickname. His real name was like John Luther Jones, something like that. When he was driving the engine, pulling a passenger train that was apparently running behind schedule, so he's trying to make up time, and basically ran into the back of a freight train. Okay, and he was killed in the wreck. Everybody else survived. And it's one of those things, honestly, most people probably wouldn't remember it by now, except for the fact that some man who worked in the roundhouse that Perry Casey was based out of wrote a song about the wreck, about what happened. And then other people heard the song, people made little changes in the lyric, and so that by now, Casey Jones is known worldwide about the brave engineer. And this engine is a model of that engine he was running that night when he had the accident, something I think April of 1900. Okay, the model itself was produced by a company named Pocher, Pocher in Italy. Late 60s, early 70s, and was marketed in the United States by a company called AHM, or Associated Hobby Manufacturers. They're a well-known company. Some people had kind of mixed feelings about the quality of their equipment, but overall they did pretty good. And like I said, they marketed this engine. And when I was, 10, 12 years old, I wanted one of these. I mean, I was just, definitely a train nut and wanted to get one of these, and eventually talked my mom into getting me one. And I actually still have that engine. This is, the second one I've had. Still got the first one. It's in pieces. I mean, I got it and basically ran the wheels off it, running around a little layout. I had just kind of going around circles. And of course, over time, things got broke on it. I'll be trying to fix it, repaint it, group things back on. Eventually took it apart, salvaged parts off it for other projects. And like saying, I still have it, but it's in pieces and just scattered around different boxes. This model I got, 20 years ago, found it at a train show, a thing called the Great American Train Show. Paid around, $40 for it. And, in homage to the original engine, like I said, I got one that's like, 5th grade or something. And kind of say, hey, get this thing off the shelf. It's been sitting on a shelf, just looking pretty for several years now. And, use it here on the layout, use it maybe, some of these videos. And if you saw, the first part of this video, saw it running, it was kind of running a little rough. Definitely kind of had some issues. So what I'm going to do is, for this video, I'm going to take it to the workbench and take it apart, clean it, relube it all, and then put it back in and bring it back here and run it. So invite you, tag along for that and watch how that's doing. And show one other thing here real quick. This is the box that this model came in. Back when it was originally sold, the price was $27.98. Open this up. So got the tray, got some instructions. Gonna look like that. And how to take it apart. Some other information here on the back. And also in the box, a little piece of paper. It's actually a piece of Christmas wrapping paper. And somebody wrote on it, Christmas 1971 to Daddy from Scotty. Merry Christmas. Well, if by chance Scotty or your dad are watching this video, just to let you know, this engine is in good hands. I'm taking care of it. It has the potential to become a video star here on YouTube. So, okay, with that, let's go ahead and move over to the workbench. And like I said, climb aboard and we'll take another ride along the model railroad line. Okay, here we are at the workbench. Tell you more about this engine and what I plan to do with it. Kind of, like I said, kind of clean it up, get a little lube job, and get running smooth. Probably tell you a little bit about how these engines run. The HO scale models. Let's get this out. Got this little foam cradle that I bought years ago. It's made by a company named Bowser. I think it's Bowser. I think they're still making them. If they are, I'll put something in the link later about where you can find one. But they're real handy. Put engines or cars, whatever. You gotta turn it over like that. Makes it easy to work on them. Okay. Do a little bit again. We'll explain about what we got here. Take it back out. Well, got a model here of in HO scale of a late 19th century, early 20th century steam engine. 460 style, so-called 10-wheeler. And got got the engine, the tender, the cab, the boiler, headlight, the pilot or cow catcher, some people call it. Of course, got the tender with the place for the coal load, the fuel, and of course, place for putting water, things like that. As far as the model itself is concerned, it's pretty typical HO scale model of a steam engine. I'll turn it over a little bit. The way this engine is wired, here, turn it back. In North American practice, the engineer typically sits, on the right side of the cab, and the fireman will be on the left side, except when he's needing to do something, take care of the fire, do some other work. On the models, the way they got these models wired up so, the power can get through. Got it set up so that if an engine is moving forward, this is assuming you're running DC power. If the engine's on the rail running forward, the right-hand rail will be positive and the left-hand rail will be negative, okay? And so what happens is, turn the engine over, remember we're looking at this backwards now. This is actually the right side of the engine. These wheels are live. They have ability to run power through them, whereas the wheels on the left side are insulated. So the power should not be able to go through them. The tender will be the opposite. The wheels on the left side will be live. They will have power flow through, whereas the wheels on the right side will be insulated. Okay? And then you got some sort of connection between the engine and the tender so that, the engine's on the track, moving forward, power will be flowing through these wheels on the engine's right side, through the motor, and then to the tender, and then to the left wheels, again on the tender, and of course, returning back to the power packs, therefore completing the circuit. Okay. This particular engine also has what they call a wireless drawbar. Again, this tender can actually be uncoupled from the engine. And what they did here, see if we can hold that up, see if make sure the camera can focus. Here, gotta do something kind of off, a little bit off. There we go. Now, this particular model, hopefully that stands out well. Basically, again, it's got the drawbar, that's the connection between the engine and tender. And this one happens to have a little wire on there So what you got here is a so-called wireless drawbar. Yeah, it does have a wire right there, a little spring wire, which when you couple the tender to the engine, there's a pin here on the back of the engine that drawbar slip over, and then that piece of wire will rub against that pin, and therefore completing the circuit. And this is a little different, say, from some other models. Here's a Roundhouse or Mall Die Casting brand 060 switch engine. And it's set up the same way in that, the drive wheels on the right are live, the wheels on the left are insulated, and again, same thing, opposite on the tender. But in this case, don't know if you can really see it or not, but there is a physical wire going from the tender, screwed into the tender frame, and goes up and connects to the motor inside the boiler. And then, of course, the motor itself is grounded or screwed into the frame, which is metal. And again, on the tender, the tender frame is metal, but the trucks are plastic. And so to help get power from the wheels into the front, the tender frame, and then to the wire connection to the motor, these particular trucks have a little piece of brass wire that's rubbing against the axle, and then that connects down to the screw, and eventually rubs against on the bolster against the body. And with the Casey Jones engine here, it's the same thing. They actually got a little strip of metal right there that rubs against the axle. And of course, it's kind of self-cleaning. As long as the wheels turn, it's rubbing against that strip of metal and kind of keeping itself clean. Okay. And like I said, the way it's wired, again, it's kind of the standard. Wheels on the right are powered. Wheels on the left are dummies, are insulated. And of course, again, like I said, opposite on the tender. That's kind of a standard that groups like the National Mall Railroad Association came up with back on, like in the 30s or something. But there are some exceptions. Here, grab another engine. This is a Mahano 260. And it's a little different in that actually all the wheels are powered. They would get power. The axles may be insulated. I think the wheels themselves are plastic, but the tires are metal. And you may not be able to see it on the video, but inside the frame there's a little wiper wiping against the backside of each drive wheel. Especially the metal part, so that all the wheels are able to get power. And in this case, the tender again is screwed, attached. It's not, can't just uncouple it. And again, the frame is plastic, but the trucks are plastic, but the wheels are metal, and they got the little wipers. So even though you're able to get power from all the wheels on the engine, they still go ahead and wired up the tender wheels so they get power also. In this case, all the wheels, drive wheels in the engine can get power, whereas on the tender, we do again get back into that. One side is powered, the other side is insulated. In this case, I think the front truck gets power from the right and insulated on the left, and of course the rear truck's opposite. Power's on the left and insulation's on the right. And there are some wires up in here. Again, I'm not sure you can see them, but they're permanently connected. This engine's not designed to just take apart real easy. And a lot of newer HO scale model locomotives are like that. I know a lot of the Bachmann engines are like that. A lot of the Mahano type stuff and other brands. But you may still find a lot, especially older models, which still have this thing again, where the one set of wheels again gets power, the other's insulated. Anyway, this engine again was marketed by a company called AHM, or Associated Hobby Manufacturers. Again, got their box right here. And a characteristic of AHM models, locomotives, cars, or passenger cars, whatever, is they all came with these large flanges on the wheels, so-called pizza cutters. Okay. And I'll say if people had a complaint with AHM product is those flanges. I mean, they're bigger than what you see on the prototype in real life. I mean, this engine has the smaller flanges. They're compared to the prototype, they're actually still kind of big, but compared to this, they actually look almost real. They're set to what's called the RP25 standard, again, or recommended practice, again, the National Railroad Association come up with. As far as these flanges on the AHM engines. If you're using code 100 rail, they're fine. They work just fine. If you're using something like code 83, which is what I'm using, they still work. There could be an issue with flange ways at switches or other, grade crossings, whatever. There may be an issue there, but again, there's ways to work around that. If you're using something like code 70 rail or some reason even something smaller, there you're probably gonna have some issues. The flanges will probably be bumping off the top, the spikes and anything else along the side of the rail. Like I said, this little piece of track is code 83, and sorry about that. Like I said, it seems to roll just fine. But anything smaller, like I said, there'd probably be some issues. And it used to be, articles in magazines, other places about how to deal with that. I mean, the tender, you probably just replace the wheels. The trucks themselves are fine. On something like the engine, be a little more work. I've read people where they take the wheels off the engine, stick them in a lathe, and start spinning and just turn it, grind them down like that. Or what some other people have done is they'll take the engine, here, move this over, turn the engine over, on some sort of cradle, hook up the engine to a power source, and then just turn the power and just have the wheels spinning while they would take a needle file and just start kind of filing along the edges of the flange, kind of until the flanges were reduced down to the desired size. And of course, they make sure you got something like, one of these, NMRA gauges, so you can check, make sure the flanges are, are the correct depth, size, whatever, make sure everything's engaged, things like that. Right now, my own personal plans, though, is, do a little work on the engine so it'll run smooth, but otherwise I'm not going to make any changes to it. I want to kind of leave it as it is, be part of a collection train. Got a couple of passenger cars I'll probably run along with it. All righty, now what I got to do now, I'm going to take this engine apart so we can get at some of its inner parts, inner places, so we can do some, like I said, a little bit of maintenance work on it. First thing I'm going to do, get the cradle, foam rubber cradle again. Just kind of flip this over, have the engine on its back so we can access to the, the belly of the beast, as it were. What I want to do is clear a couple things out of the way. Do a little quick testing, make sure it runs. Let me show you what I got here. Got a power source, there we go, get in the camera. MRC, Mall Rectifier Corporation, Tech 2 power pack, there we go. Had this thing for years, works real good. And another tool here I have that helps when you're working on engines. Got this little box here, it's got these gauges in it, voltage and amp gauges built into it. Yeah, my father actually made this for me years ago. Made some gauges, he mounted in a metal box, got it from, Radio Shack or somebody like that, along with a switch there, reversing polarities, and place it on the back for plugging everything in. Having some meters like this or gauges is real good for if you want to get into, really fine-tuning your engines, kind of get an idea how much voltage your engine is using, and of course what kind of amp draw it's using. And you can either make your own like this, or they do. Some companies do make power packs like these with the meters built in, so you can kind of do that. Anyway, what I want to do here is turn that on. And let's put that down here, everybody can see it. Getting power. Now what I got here, got this little cord right here with a couple of alligator clamps on it. There you go. So you can see that. There you go. What I gotta do, I'm gonna clamp one of these on one of the axles on the tender. Any of them should do. And then what I'll do is I'll take the other alligator clip, not actually clip it to anything, but we'll kind of just run it along the wheels like that. Just turn up some of the power just a little bit. And let's see. There you go. Here. Let's see. There you go. A little rough, but it does run. There we go. And just turn up the volume a little bit. There you go. All right, stop this, flip the polarity. There you go. There you go. Yeah, the wheels probably could use a little cleaning. And like saying earlier about how the engine gets power, like I said, this side is live, the other wheels are insulated, so touch the little probe right there, doesn't do anything, but move it over here, you get some movement. Okay. Let's turn that back off a minute. What I'd like to do is maybe do something to clean those wheels real quick. There. And here. I got this little marker that I use, got a little dry eraser on it. So you can hook that up. And here. If I'm careful about it, there's a place I can hook this onto the frame. Like that. There's a screw here sticking out. Then we do like that. There we go. Yep. Oh, like that. If I'm kind of careful about it, I should have pushed this thing up against that. Just kind of polish the wheels a little bit. There you go. You do the same thing the other wheel. There we go. Now if you have to, got a little buildup, got a little knife right there. Just kind of just gently press against the wheel, not too much. There's a danger of scratching the surface. Not sure you can see on the camera. I can see some dirt getting picked up. There we go. Let's do the same thing, the number 2 wheel, drive wheel. And, okay. Yeah, don't have to press down on it. Just kind of let it ride on the surface and clean it right up. There we go. Here, turn that back off. Engine seems to be running reasonably well. Let's get these alligator clips out of the way. Let's put it out of the way for now. Turn the power off in the power pack. Okay. Now what I do here, of course, I'm basically got to take the engine apart. Don't have to take it apart completely, but at least get the boiler out of the way. Just going to take the tender and just set that over there for right now. The engine does come with some instructions. Actually shows on here, see right there, it shows screws are to hold the body or the boiler to the frame. Got 2 screws you need to remove, plus a couple details. Gonna have to move out of the way. First thing is, this engine does have some grab irons. They're right there. Your miniature crewmen climbing aboard, they grab hold of that, help lift themselves up. We're going to have to pull that off. It's actually attached between the boiler and the frame, or the cab and the frame. And you don't want to just simply jerk the thing off. So, first thing I do here, take a little screwdriver. And here, we make an adjustment on the camera. Let's turn that up a little bit. Yeah. Turn up the brightness so it makes it easier to see what I'm doing. Gonna just get that in there. Yeah, it just pops right off. Okay. And if you're careful, you just let the railing just hang there. But if you need to, you can move it out of the way. Let's do the same thing here on the other one. Let's use this. Okay, get in there. There it goes. And here. Use some tweezers to help pull it out. Okay. Now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just carefully remove this grab iron from where it's mounted on the frame. And kind of have to be careful about it. It should kind of just twist out. Let's see. Yeah. And let's see. There we go. And it's got a little bend in it, so it doesn't want to just come out. my thinking right now, as long as I'm careful with it, it can stay there. So let's kind of keep things simple. Less like to break something. Another thing we'll be careful is on the front of the engine here on the pipe, got these two braces, one here and here. I want to be careful with those because they'll need to be unhooked also. But though compared to the others, it should be easier. Now, let's just flip this thing back on its back. Grab a screwdriver. There we go. Got a screw here and one here hiding underneath the pilot truck. If you need to, you can move the truck out of the way too. It is screwed on there, but there is, you can see or not, there's a spring right there that helps maintain tension on it, so, pressing on the track. And it can be removed. Again, be careful with it. So right now, I'm going to try and leave it there, just see if it doesn't get in the way of anything. This should be fine. Let's see. Let's get this screw here down through the cylinder saddle. And this do like that. And here's where I have tweezers. Move the truck out of the way. There you go. Like that. I'm going to set that over here. Keep track of it. Go and remove the other screw. There you go. It's a little easier to reach, so I'll just grab it by hand. Okay. Set that there. And now, let's lift that up. There you go. Move around carefully. And it's going, I got the braces. Pop those out. Okay. Let's see. Here. Get in there with chisel. There it goes. Okay. That one's out and the other one's loose. So let's lift that up. There you go. Do like that. There you go. See, that's what it looks like. You can just set that aside. Now, taking a look here, here's the motor. A little so-called 3-pole motor. I mean, most, high, quote-unquote, higher quality models would probably have a bigger motor, 5-pole or something, or, modern engines be used, more recent production be using so-called CAN motors. But, this thing works. Got 2 places there. One's, where the wires are connected to the motor so power can get to it. One would be positive. One's, this one looks like it's grounded to the engine frame, whereas the other one looks like it would go off where it's connected to the drawbar connection right here, which in turn would connect to the tender. Okay. Now, what I want to do here, put a little oil right there. Here, I'll set that there. Let's see. All right. And for that, I got this oil right here. This is by a company called LaBelle. It's their number 108 synthetic oil, multi-purpose, lightweight, and plastic compatible. Since a lot of the parts on here are plastic, that's an important thing. And the idea is you want to use a light oil, say on the bearings here, on the motor itself. I mean, you want something that's still going to loop, light enough that it's not going to, cause any drag or resistance on the motor to spin. But still want, be doing, a job of lubricating the part. Don't wear it out too quickly. Now, right now, looking at it, I can get the top one. The bottom one, I may have to remove the motor, which can be done. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. There's a screw here and here we can get to. Move those out of the way. Screwdriver. And let's see. Kind of take a little effort. There we go. Got that loose. Let's reach in here with the tweezers. Grab that. And kind of give another twist. All righty. Grab hold. Careful with it. And still kind of wanting to catch on something. There we go. And just set that aside. Careful with it. It doesn't somehow get loose from the tweezers and disappears into the nether regions on the other side of the room or whatever. Just do that. Yeah, things are in there tight. This is probably the first time this mall's ever been taken apart since it was originally made, so hasn't gotten a lot of use. So it's pretty overall, the mall itself's in pretty good shape. And again, get in there. Yeah, let's do another. I'm trying to grab hold of the screw with the tweezers, and the thing kind of wants to screw itself back into the hole. Let's see. And okay, I think we got it. All right, put that over there. All right. Now carefully, let's see, this should get the motor loose. Just carefully pull it on it. There you go. Have to be careful with the wires. Can't really pull it completely out without putting some tension on the wires, so I won't try to, like I said, I won't try to pull it completely out, but I can still get at the bottom of the motor now. Here. If I can get that wire moved out of the way. There you go. And I'm not sure you can see on the camera that there's the worm gear. It contacts a gear here in on this back drive wheel inside a little kind of box right there. We may look at that here a few minutes. As long as I got it loose, overall, I mean, like I said, the condition looks pretty good. So again, let's kind of just set that there. Again, careful about those railings. Look like one came off. Yeah, there it is. Set that there. And if I can get that. And that one way in terms of want to stay on. If I'm careful about it, it'll be okay. Now what I'm going to do here, take some of this light oil, LaBelle number 108. If you like, I'll put something in the description later where you may find this. Get in here. There's the drive shaft right there. Just going to put a little tiny drop right there. There you go. Just a little dab will do you. Don't need a lot. Okay. Then do the same thing here on top. Again, just a little bit. All righty. Let's do that. And looks good. Let's go ahead and push this back into place. Can get that wire out of the way. There we go. Push down a little bit. Make sure it's. There you go. Twist the drive wheel a little bit. Make sure it's the gauges, the gears are engaged. Now slip this thing back over. Make sure the holes line up. Grab a hold of the screw with the tweezers, and there we go. Carefully put it back where it belongs. And then grab a screwdriver. And carefully get the whole screw line. There you go. And there you go. Got it on the first try. Let's do the same thing on the other side. And just put that there. Again, these screws are real short. Make sure it's on there. Okay, if you can see that. Here. Get in there on that side. Okay. Looks like it's in the hole. Yeah. There we go. All right. Okay. It's threading. All right. Okay. We got that. Now what I'm going to do here. Okay, everything else good. The engine does have a light bulb, and I don't know if that's working or not, so I'll probably just skip over that for now. What I'm going to do here, let's go ahead and put the boiler back on. Get all that lined up. And then we'll check the axles. So again, make sure you press everything together, make sure those braces are out of the way. Actually, we have to do kind of hold it like that, kind of nose down. Okay. Get that little piece of metal right here that touches the back of the light bulb. I don't, like I said, right now I don't know if the bulb works or not. I'll check that later. I don't have, if the bulb's out, I don't have a spare bulb. I can get that later. So it's not a big issue right now. There we go. Slips right back into place. Now, let's check, make sure these braces are in place. Let's see. I have to kind of lift, pull it back up just a hair. As I do that, the braces kind of naturally slide up to the holes they're supposed to go into. It's kind of just get that where it's lining up. Go and press it in. Same thing the other one. And there you go. Went right in. Make sure that's pressed down. Flip it back over. Just find that other railing. And it's got this little twist right there, almost like a pig's tail. And it's supposed to go into a hole right there. Let's see. Get here, let's grab tweezers. And hold up. Okay. All right. Okay, went right in. I got to twist it a little bit. Let's see. A little bit more. You kind of just have to worry it in there. Let's grab. All right. Move that down. Let's see. There we go. Then get everything lined up. You may not be able to see on the cameras. There's a tiny hole right there. You get that into the wire, into the railing. Go into that hole. There we go. Press it in. Let's do the same thing on the other side. All right, it's got that in. Now, put this thing back in the cradle, back on its belly. This screw goes this hole. Drop that down in there. Screw it in. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let me show you what's going on. Okay, let's leave this out. Gotta leave that out for right now. I'm getting ahead of myself. What I want to do now, I do need to take this lead truck, pilot truck off. And again, there's a little spring right here I want to be careful with. So if I'm careful, I probably should be able to stay on. But right now I got to take that screw off that's holding the truck on. There we go. On there tight. Like I say, I think this engine, this is the first time this engine's ever been disassembled since it came from the factory. You got that screw there. Move that out of the way. Let's get that screw out of there. Set it aside. Okay. Yeah. Make sure all those screws are where I can find them. Now what I'm wanting to do here, I'm taking this bottom plate off so I can see the axles. Now it should just slide off. Let's see. And okay. There's no other screws holding in place, but there's a couple of latches not right here. And basically I need to move it forward. Let's see. Okay. Here. Let's grab needle nose pliers, reach in here, get a grip on it, and just gently pull on it. Yeah. Okay. Here. There we go. All right. Okay, here. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Have to pry on it. and just lift that up. The lead truck came off from the spring anyway, but it'll be pretty easy to put it back on. Now what I'm wanting to do here, just kind of check the condition of the axles. And they look kind of dry. Again, you can see here, starting the back, that's the worm gear to the motor, which engages this gear here on this drive wheel. And then when as that wheel turns, it transmits power to the other wheels through the side rods. Again, it's like saying this side of the wheels get power. These are dummy, or these are insulated. And they also got this wheel and this wheel have some traction tires on them to help give the engine a little better grip on the rails, kind of compensate for that was actually otherwise kind of light engine. Just double check, kind of got a little bit of dirt on there. Nothing serious. A quirk of these Casey Jones engines is these two sets of wheels are the same size, but the center set is slightly smaller. So you actually got this little kind of little extra play in them when it rolls down the track. You know, exactly why they did that, I don't know. So if you can see here, another feature of this particular model. Look right here, you got the wheels, got the metal axles, the frame is a kind of composite of metal and plastic. And it's also got, you can see here touching the back of the drivers of the number 1 and number 3, you know, the front and back drivers, these little plungers. If you remember talking about the other engines, about how some have little wipers in the back. This engine has basically wipers on this driver and this driver, and that's how I get power to it. So if for some reason you want to take those wheels out, you got to be careful those plungers don't get loose. They're kind of, you know, wedged in there, but you know, for the purposes of what we're doing here, we don't really need to take the wheels out. So what I'm going to do, again, this back pair wheel does have some grease on the axle. There's mostly grease left that came off the gear here. But I'm going to add a little extra. And let's put that aside. Okay, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put put light oil on the motor. But this, for the axles, I'm going to use some grease. Got this grease right here, something called Aristo-Electralube. Right, you know, a company called Aristocraft. They were for many years, long-time company in the hobby. I mean, back in the early 60s, they imported or marketed a lot of HO scale trains, and then later, over the last 30 years especially, was the G scale, the big models. And I don't think that comes around anymore, or at least it's evolved. But one of the products they offer was this grease. Kind of messy. What you got there is some grease with, I guess graphite mixed in with it. It does a good job of lubricating. But you also want to be careful. Stuff's definitely messy to work with. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to take the screwdriver and here. I just poke it in there, get a little dab on the edge of the screwdriver, and just go reach down in here and just dab a little bit on each axle bearing. Like that. Just a little bit, don't need a lot. And grease is good for something like, wheels turn, the axle, since they're at a slower speed. And so it can try to get away using something thicker than, say, the oil you need for the motor, since wheels will be turning pretty small back in comparison to the motor. And of course, there's probably subject to a lot more wear and tear by comparison too. And just a little bit, a little bit there. Then same thing the other side. So this little bit of this stuff will go a long way. Okay. And just put a little bit on the gear right here. Don't really need a lot. There's already some grease here, which seems to be in good shape. But just put a little bit where I can reach it. And then as the gears turn, it'll spread itself out. There we go. Alrighty. Now, set that aside. Okay, let's go and start putting this back together. Grab the underframe, or the underplate, whatever. I'll just drop that in right there. I gotta push it back so it catches on the little latches there in the back. And may need a little help there. Let's see. Grab the screw. Little tweezers right here. Gotta put them down in there. Kind of act like provide a little bit of leverage. Let's see. And there you go. Push it hard enough so I can hear it click right over here. That way I know everything's hooked up. Now, put the screws back in. Gotta go and put this screw back right there through the cylinder saddle, connect to the front part of the boiler. Let's do that. There you go. Kind of popped in. And okay. Threads are engaged. There we go. Just a little snug it down. Not to be super tight. Let's go ahead and put this screw back in. That goes back here. There you go. There we go. That's ready. Now, I'm going to turn this around. I'll make it a little easier to see what I got to do here. Got to put the lead truck back on. What I'm going to try and do here, I'm just going to go and hook it in first. Just drop that down in there like that. Make sure the holes all line up. Here, let's get this thing out of the way before I make a mess. Okay, just set that aside. Yeah. Make sure. No grease on my fingers. Okay. Now, what I need to do here is grab that screw. Use these tweezers, grab hold of it like that. And kind of just drop it down there into the hole. Make sure everything's lining up. There we go. Do like that. Okay, grab the screwdriver. And there we go. Alrighty. And just kind of snug it down, not to be super tight. Now, the next thing I need to do, though, I got to hook that spring back over the little pin right here on the truck. And again, I'm going to use some tweezers for that. And it's kind of close, fiddly work. There you go. Not sure you can see it in the camera, but yeah. Grab this knife blade. Use that to help. The spring itself has a little loop on the end of it. And it's supposed to fit over a pin, a little latch-like thing here on the back of the truck frame. That may be kind of, it's going to be a little fiddly. Here. Twist that around. There we go. Oop. And let's do that. Use the knife blade to kind of hold the loop in place. And push down on it. And it's on. All right. Okay. Everything's together. Let's flip this back over. There you go. Like I said, the light bulb, in here may be out. There's a quick way to check that. This smoke box front should just pop off. May take a little. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's a separate piece. And you can see the light bulb in there. Just looking at it from here. Okay. Really can't tell the condition. Like I said, right now, I'm not really worrying about whether it works. I can always fix that later. I mean, I don't have any spare bulbs like that just laying around. Maybe it's kind of a special order, or look on eBay, maybe Amazon, I don't know. Hobby shops may have it. So we'll just put the smoke box front back on. And I think you have to be careful with steam moths. I've got a couple of engines which you can't just press the smoke box back on, just expect it to stay put. Here. Try to put it on upside down. There you go. Should just press fit in there. Ideally, you don't need to glue it on there, but like I said, I got a couple of engines where I'm constantly having to be careful. I mean, I just run the engine down the track, and the smoke box would just falls off. So at some point, again, just going to give a little dab of glue on there, and it should be fine. Now let's go and do a quick test run on this engine. Gonna do like we did earlier. Just turn it on its back, expose its belly. It's going to hook the tender back on. Make sure the little pin slips on there. Let's move some stuff out of the way. Yeah. Get the power pack on. Grab my little alligator weeds. Just put one on the axle, one of the axles on the tender. Let's do that one. And turn the power on. Make sure you can, let's see. And hold up. Okay, I see what happened. There we go. Okay. At the polarity reversed on, on the power pack. Should be good now. So just a little bit of power, maybe around 6 volts. Touched one of the drive wheels. Okay, looks good. Gonna touch it again. Or tell you what, if I'm careful about it, just hook it. Good clip right on that screw right there. And just turn it up. There you go. Looks good. Technically, the engine's running in reverse. Okay, let's see. So you can kind of turn that where you can see it. There you go. Let's do that. Okay. There you go. And there we go. Alrighty, looking good. Now, before we finish up here, I'm going to do one more thing. What I'm thinking about. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to use some of this LaBelle number 102 Gear Oil to put here on the little joints on the side rods. Again, you use something like this, you know, it's a little thicker than, you know, the number 108, so it's good for parts that, you know, turning at a relatively slow speed. And in theory, you can actually use, you know, the paste, this grease also, but, you know, kind of be a little messy. You have to, you know, may have to take the rods off, get in there correctly. But for what we're doing here, this will work just fine. Let's see, let's just get a little dab down there, like that. There you go, just a little bit. Do a little bit there, a little bit there. Alrighty, then swing this around. Same thing on the other side, a little dab will do you, that kind of thing. Again, it's possible, you know, it's possible to get a little too much oil on these things. You know, I mean, that would be probably better than having too little, but you get too much and it kind of just gets dirty, gets into everything, makes a mess. I'm going to go ahead and put a little dab here on the axles for the pilot truck. And don't need a lot. There you go. A little more there. Right there. There you go. Looks good. If you want to get real daring, here. Put a little tiny bit right there on the where the piston is, where the slide, all that stuff sliding back and forth. Again, just a little bit. Like that. Okay. And then, here, flip this around. There in the guide for the piston rods. Just a little bit. There we go. And again, flip it back on its back. Hook up some wires. Now, I'm thinking you could probably put a little dab on the wheels, axles on the trucks too, though. It's a little tight space right there, and they tend to be wheels are pretty free turning anyway, so you probably don't really have to do that. Now, if it were metal trucks, you know, metal axles on a metal frame, then yeah, it probably would be worth it. But for this case where it's, you know, metal axle and a plastic frame, it should be just fine. Okay. Then get that out of the way. And there we go. Turn that and see it. Okay. All right. Looks good. So I guess the next thing now is to take this engine back to layout and try it out there.
Called Casey about 4:30. Kissed his wife at the station in the door, mounted in the cabin with his orders in his hand, and he took his last trip to that promised land. Casey Jones, mounted in the cabin, Casey Jones, orders in his hand. Casey Jones, mounted in the cabin, and he took his last trip to that promised land. Put in your water, shovel in your coal, put your head out the window and watch the drivers roll. I'll run her till she leaves the rail, for I'm 8 hours late with the Western Mail. Mrs. Jones now sat on her bed a-crying. She just received a message. Poor Casey was dying. Said, go to bed, children. Shh. Hush your crying. I've got another papa on the Alameda line. Casey Jones, mounted in the cabin. Casey Jones.
Alrighty. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little demonstration showing how I prepared my AHM Casey Jones 460. Does run a lot better now, as you probably saw in some of the preceding scenes. I enjoyed doing that, kind of showing it off, kind of showing what, how you all can do things like that. If you got an engine that's kind of not running as well as it needs to. And a lot of times the problem may be quite simple. Clean the wheels, give it a little oil on its joints, whatever, and it'll probably run better. And also I say thank you all for the feedback I've been getting for these programs. That's very encouraging. And invite you all to, the routine. Like, subscribe, leave comments. Again, that's definitely encouraging for me. And of course, it does help the algorithm make it possible for you all to find these videos. I do have some plans for more programs, kind of doing more with this. Again, kind of getting excited about it. I do have a kind of a weird work schedule, so I don't always have the time I'd like to work on these. Well, I'm doing what I can. And at the same time, I still got some plans, some ideas. And again, if you got any feedback, some ideas, here, let me know. In the meantime, I invite you, if it ain't here yet, there should be a link showing up here in a minute to a video which I've done previously, where I talked about how I made this water tower. I enjoyed doing that too. So I invite you to check that video out. Otherwise, stay tuned, and we'll climb aboard again and take another trip down the Mall Railroad line. So in the meantime, you all have a good day, and we'll talk soon. Okay, bye.
Casey Jones, mounted in the cabin, and he took his last trip to that promised land.